Interesting though, there is like there's some really active political.
I believe, Brandon, I believe everybody is back.
Okay, everyone is back. But yeah, so I guess the best way we can maybe go about it is in numerical order. Um, was there anyone from group one that wanted to kind of share a bit of the contents of y'all's conversation?
Yeah, we were group one, I believe. And Sabina, would you mind sharing a little bit from our group?
Not at all. Hi,
Thank you.
everybody. So in response to the question about what do people do in service outside of SBP, it was an interesting mix. You know, of people doing everything from like Kyle help volunteering his HR services to small orgs who don't have an HR department, to Shaneja food pantry volunteering, Tiffany helping organize community distribution events, and Zach kind of applying some of his efforts to helping kids apply, I think it was apply to college or just tackling inequities in education and public education in the Boston area. So there was a nice array of different things. And then of course there was the discussion of like the challenge of finding the time, of finding the energy. And we were all super inspired by, oh goodness, I don't think I wrote the name down, but what time do I have left in the day to get something done for somebody else? So I wrote that down. That really stood out to me. And she's like, if I don't have enough, maybe I don't do it that day, but if I have the time and I have the energy, I'm going to go out and help someone else. So yeah, those were some of the themes: finding that time, finding the balance, and even doing small steps to help others, which is something Vanessa said. So
Fantastic. Thank you.
there. That wasn't everything, but it was very inspiring to hear from everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. So it seems like the time challenge, it certainly came up in our group, and I was curious, what were some of the solutions y'all found, or if it came up in other groups, what were some talking points that y'all heard?
Was that for me or was that for everyone?
For you, but also everyone.
Oh, okay. So
And
the time,
Zach is.
yeah, I mean, I think it's, you know, everybody has something different going on. Like, you know, some people have families and children that they're also, you know, that is work, right? And labor. And some people are bringing work home. And so it's really that, it's like taking that commitment and finding how and where can you apply that, and understanding like, no, you can't go save everybody, but like Kyle was speaking about wanting to get involved in helping to ease the lives of unhoused people in New Orleans, you know, who are living in encampments and being given a hard time by police. So it's kind of like identifying that thing that's inspiring you, and then like, you know, for me it would be scheduling the time. If I write it down on a schedule, like it's a to-do list thing, even though that seems transactional, it can be really powerful to see it and be like, this, I'm doing this today. So that's my own take on that. But it sounds like everyone's just facing their own challenge of how to work it in, but it sounds like everyone is inspired by something that they want to go after if they're not already doing so. Okay, I'll stop talking.
Thank you for that.
Thanks, Sabina. Zach, you raised your hand.
I did. Thanks, Kyle. Hey, everybody. Terrific so far. Really appreciate it, learning, and appreciate you. Two thoughts. First, Brandon, I really want to echo and appreciate the focus on the struggle, and just acknowledge that stuff for the people who've led through the civil rights movement and today, and the courage and challenges that we haven't seen or felt personally must be overwhelming. Second, as we're talking about time, I want to make sure that everyone's aware of a policy that we have at SBP that I think is underutilized, I believe in. I want you to hear it loudly and clearly from me. folks get 1 day off a month to volunteer at an organization of their choice, or in matters as they choose, focused in some way as they define on racial equity. And that's sorry, that's my son screaming out the window, which you shouldn't be doing. And so I want to make sure people understand that. If you have questions about it, your bosses should be unmitigating, like completely supportive. If there's any pushback that you're feeling, please talk to Kyle. But we're doing this because we believe in the talents that you have. We believe in the heart that you have. We believe in the needs that there are in all of our communities. And the impact that you can have is profound, deep, and long lasting. So I really hope that people are A, aware of it, and B, utilize it robustly and fully. If you have any questions, certainly reach out to me, but also Kyle or anyone on the HR team. Thank you, folks.
Thank you so much. Was there anyone from group 2 that wanted to speak a little bit about the conversation y'all had?
Brendan, I don't know if I was group 2, but one of the challenges our group mentioned gaining the trust of the client. Ashley shared how difficult it is to gain the trust of the citizens or survivors that we work with, and how important it is to say what you mean and do what you say by, showing up and being there when you say that you're going to be there. So that was just something from our group on challenges.
Well, thank you for that. To that point, we also had a conversation about just, I don't know if trust was the word that came up, but just the difficulty of maybe trying to engage in a community where there isn't always that alignment. What were some strategies that y'all found were helpful in gaining trust and ingratiating yourself in communities?
I think one of them would be meeting them where they are when they first come in, not having too many overly excessive expectations of that person, getting to know them and maybe what they may have gone through. And starting from there and building the trust from where they are, and not expecting them to be a certain way or act a certain way when you haven't really gotten to know them, to understand why they are where they are and where they're trying to go. That's how you build the trust of someone, by meeting them exactly where they are and helping them be better and grow by understanding exactly what they've gone through.
Thanks, Ashley.
I just threw my hand up too. And I'm Angela Calabro from the Share Department, for anybody who isn't familiar with me. And so the Share program is the philanthropic arm of SBP, for anyone who's not familiar. And so we sub-grant and provide trainings and resources to really ideally local groups. But to Ashley's point about trust, if we're just cold calling, excuse me, the like really small hyper local groups that are doing good community work, oftentimes they don't know us, they don't trust us. And so the importance of like us having a strong relationship and network with, adjacent groups in those communities that might be able to send an intro email or get on a call with us and like kind of vouch for our work that we do is so critical. Because otherwise, and I was talking about this in the group, we're just really doing general marketing for our grants and RFPs that doesn't even like get into the level of depth that we want to with the local communities, and they know what they need, rather than these like national groups that are often there and have the means to apply for some of our grants. So it's an extra step of work. But to Ashley's point about trust, like I think not just on the client level too, but on the network of NGOs that we work with is also really critical. So that's what I'll share about our group.
Angela, thank you so much for that. Can move along to group 3. What's the empathy for that group?
Brandon, I'm happy to share on behalf of group 3. We had some great examples of team members who are leaning into their local community, helping shelters, a couple folks working in increasing accessibility to green space, because that's a priority for them. Excuse me. And then also focusing more on like the yoga meditation space. I think that was a great sort of diverse representation of when you lean into something that you're passionate about, you can find pretty much anything to lean into that community service space. We also elevated, and I think this echoes some of what's been shared, but it challenges time, just prioritizing service and the way we prioritize other things, it can fall off. And so that's sometimes the reason that it's not something we lean into. But Zach, appreciate the way you share it. And it sounds like for this team at large, being aware of where do we have space like within our work to take that time to make this a priority, but also elevate it as if we can prioritize community service the way we do other parts of our work, maybe that's how we create that space.
I love that. Since we're coming up against time a little bit, was anyone from Group 4 excited to share a bit more about those conversations?
Yeah, I can share. So our group talked a lot about different things we're already involved in for outside service, including volunteering with SBP, serving as a member of boards, helping with after school parties and activities, and supporting a young person getting education. And we talked also about ways we want to pledge to do more, and those are a few things I wanted to share. Looking on Volunteer Match for new ideas, getting more involved in voter turnout efforts, and then just generally looking deeper at the beloved community and how can we engage in that and support it with every aspect of our life.
Thank you for that. The volunteer match, I'm sorry, I haven't heard of it. Is that a website or?
Yeah, it's a website where it's kind of like a job board, but it's for volunteer opportunities.
Yeah, awesome. Would you mind dropping the link in the chat?
Sure.
And lastly, we have Group 5. Megan, would you mind sharing a little bit about our conversation, please?
Of course. Well, first I want to say that I am like blown away and inspired by the amount of outside service people do beyond their normal responsibilities at SBP, having families. Like I'm just so inspired. So just want to say thank you to everyone in this group. Our group is doing a lot. We have someone running design workshops to support the narrative around formerly incarcerated individuals through those workshops. We have people who are going to organizations and providing their own expertise and self-care for victims or survivors of domestic violence. And what I love is someone on our team who has young kids and may not have time to do volunteer organizations, but is being a coach or assistant coach to their kids' sports. And so that really got me thinking of how I can do service with my children. So really excited for that. I think in terms of things that are like barriers or stopping us, time, got to echo everyone else. Not knowing or having relationships with other organizations in the area. So not having that like personal connect, kind of like what Angela was talking about. And then maybe being an outsider in a community and having different perspectives or views on what our most critical issues are. And definitely something that could be consistent in an AmeriCorps term. You know, you may be relocating for 10 months, so you may not have those ins yet. Yeah, that was our group.
Megan, thank you so much. With that, we're gonna go to Mike for our wrap and closing remarks.
Awesome. Thanks, Brandon. Hey, and I just, y'all, I'd like to, you know, Kyle mentioned it. Zach articulated it very beautifully. I just want to reiterate it a third time. At SBP, we believe in promoting social justice and equity, both with in and outside of our organization. We recognize the importance of supporting our employees and our AmeriCorps members' efforts to make a positive impact within their communities. And so, again, to encourage volunteerism and social justice and equity issues, we have this established volunteer time off policy. Policy allows employees and members to take 1 day per month to engage in these activities related to social justice and equity causes. For staff, please work with your supervisor to request the time off. For AmeriCorps members, the policy is in your member handbook. If you'd like to read more about the policy, you can find it in your handbook. We'd ask that you follow our outside service hours if you would like to count those hours towards your 1,700 total hours of service. And again, I think, in speaking with Courtney and Kyle and leading up to this, I'm sure we can put that policy out in writing for staff as well. So be on the lookout for that. Y'all, I want to thank everybody on this call today. I want to thank everybody that engaged in the breakout sessions. I want to thank y'all for showing up. For some of us, this was an early morning. For many of us, this was a mid-morning call. Thank you for being here on this Monday. I especially want to shout out and thank Maxine Small, Cerinthia Joseph, Andy Stofflith, Kyle Carson, Angelina Hines, and Brandon Sertain for organizing and coordinating this morning's call. Huge ups to y'all. This has truly been fantastic. As we conclude this MLK Junior National Day of Service event, let us carry the spirit of resilience and action with us into our local communities. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s vision for the beloved community, or of the beloved community, is a powerful reminder of our collective responsibility to create a world based on justice, equality, and love. So today, as SB people, we've come together this morning to contribute towards realizing that vision. Through our acts of service, we embody the principles of resilience and commitment to positive change. Remember the theme here, that service is not a one-time event. It is a practice. It is a commitment to continually strive towards building a beloved community where everyone is valued. As you step into your local communities this morning, please continue to reflect on how you can further engage in contributing towards this vision. Dr. King's dream is not just some distant aspiration, but a call to action in our everyday lives. Please take advantage of the volunteer time off policy to invest your time in making a difference. Thank you for being a part of today's event, for being agents of positive change, and for embodying the spirit of resilience. Together, let us continue this journey towards Dr. King's beloved community, creating a world where compassion and justice may prevail. That's all we've got. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Appreciate all of y'all. Andy, if you want to switch to the next slide, there is some links that we've pulled together. If you'd like to learn more about Dr. King's vision, if you'd like to take the MLK 50 pledge, there's 50 ways that you can engage in building or contributing towards the beloved community. And then there is a wonderful PBS article or video, the Open Mind episode on how MLK became a holiday. So if you'd like more information, check out those resources. I can send them in a follow-up email. But love y'all. Thank y'all for your time this morning, and have a wonderful day.